Mama, we made it. We got foreign boys on billboards. Got Miami Gone Ravens on billboards. Wesley Basaint, Najee Kelly, holding it down for Dillard High, Miami Central on a billboard. That's a big deal, dog, when you come from nothing. For all your people to see you on 95, up 95, on billboards. I ain't seen this since the FOOTBALLVILLE jumped on the scene. It's a huge deal. Bring it in tight, Miami.
Welcome to South Florida. Yeah. Welcome to South Florida. Welcome to South Florida. Welcome to South Florida, the bottom of the clip of the Gunshine State. What them boys still boring in that way. Big play, get it for the 18 if you straight. Get K and stop hating, it's the motto of the state. A lot of face, but it's still real around here. That foreign talk that can get.
So Luther Campbell told a story about he's the coach of Miami Edison. Told a story about the day he met Brian McClendon when he first walked into the school. Brian McClendon came from Oregon with Mario Cristobal, was appointed to be the recruiter over South Florida. Say Brian McClendon walked in and he didn't recognize him. But he said Brian McClendon had on a regular Miami shirt with no logo. And he said his first thought was, man, who is this dude? I don't think he gonna last long. He said, because most of the coaches come in with the logo Miami on their shirt. But the question that he had was, why was somebody from outside placed in to control South Florida when there's coaches on the staff that are familiar with South Florida? And there's a few ways you could look at that. You could look at that is that maybe Mario Cristobal trusted Brian McClendon as somebody who knew the intensity that he wanted to recruit with, who knew what he was trying to do, and maybe he felt that South Florida needed to see a new face, or the culture needed to be different. When Miami walks into a school, the face needs to be different. Things need to feel different. The approach needs to be different, because recruiting in the past, even though we have been getting kids, we had heard was a little lax, and that came directly from some of the schools. It was a mentality of more like, hey, if you don't want to be here, we don't want him to be here. It's recruiting. You recruit. You're the lion. You hunt. You go get. But whatever Mario was trying to accomplish, it backfired, it didn't work. McClendon got us Andy Jean and got the F out of town. So one thing about playing with the big boys, you got to be able to do big business. Miami in the past was criticized for not having a staff on the caliber of teams that are competing in college football playoffs and things of that nature. Now it has a little money, pay for a staff, bringing in better coaches. But you're bringing in better coaches, those coaches are going to be sought after for numerous different reasons. Brian McClendon came from Oregon with Mario Cristobal, was here for maybe a few weeks, got into a couple of houses, I'm sure made some relationships with this 2023 wide receiver class that we have, and got out of here. I think it's a weird thing. You know what I'm saying? When you switch jobs, you already moved from West Coast to East Coast to switch your job, right? Then to stay there for 3 weeks, 2 weeks, then to go from there upstate to Georgia. That is a weird thing, man. I know people switch jobs and workforces often, but not that fashion. The way that happens, and it happens in college football now. It does happen in college football. I just think it's a weird thing. I think it's a weird thing. I think there's something that can be done there. Either way, whether it's happening to us or whether we're doing it to somebody else. It's kind of goofy, because it's kind of goofy for the kids too. Because Brian McClendon comes in and does a few good things. Goes to Miami Edison with Luther Campbell the head coach and tells Luther Campbell, hey, we want Nathaniel Joseph, Ray Ray. We all know the story of Miami not recruiting Ray Ray because of his size and him committing to Clemson last year. Well, McClendon came in, told Luke they wanted him, put him on the board. And he also mentioned the name Andy Jean, which brings us down the Andy Jean rabbit hole. Andy Jean, I have on film, Ja'Cory Hammond said, as a freshman, Andy Jean was going to Georgia.
And we going out 24, man. Oh, yeah. And let's go, Andy. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Hey, that's a freshman, bro. Hey, that's a freshman right there. Hey, I'm going to Georgia, man.
Andy Jean has been recorded or Andy Jean, it's been noted that Andy Jean, ever since he played youth football, coming into high school football, always talked about playing for Georgia. He commits early to the University of Miami over the weekend, which Brian McClendon gets credit for that. And the next day, his position coach is in Georgia. This may get a little dicey, it can get a little weird here. We're gonna have Andy Jean on the show here, and we're gonna talk to him to see what was his driving force of him committing. But one way you could look at that is this. Maybe McClendon does respect Mario Cristobal, and that was his way of saying, hey, listen, I got y'all Andy Jean in the fold, but for me and my career, me going back to Georgia, I'll be the best thing right now. You can look at it that way. Now, if we come back a month from now, 2 months from now, and try to take Andy Jean from us, then you can look at it the other way. You know what I'm saying? You can twist that, look at it the other way. But it all boils down to business and chess. A month ago, we were mentioning a name for DC, which was Schumann. And we were all waiting for the national championship to happen because we heard Schumann could have been the name, and we thought that had to unravel and things of that nature. He was the linebacker coach, I think it's in DC at Georgia. It didn't happen. But what did happen was Nick Saban coming down here plucking T-Rob off the staff. Georgia, after a quick run in South Florida recruiting circuit, plucking McClendon off the staff. And Georgia also talking to DVD. If an opening comes up as a DB coach in Georgia, he may be first for the job. All of this boils down to one thing. If you're finna jump in the pond with the big boys, you're gonna have to play, you gotta do big boy business, period. Those holes have to be filled. Fill them the best way you can. Fill them with somebody that emotionally excites the fan base. The bottom line, they could play all the coaching games they want to play. They could play all the innuendo games they want to play, but they cannot duplicate the situation that Miami sits in. Shaq Diesel at Prime 112, you just happen to be on a recruiting visit, meet Shaq, you can't duplicate that. Billboards in one of the tourist hotbeds of the world, you can't duplicate that. Sun, beaches, city, Hard Rock Stadium, they definitely can't duplicate that. Make sure y'all like, share, man. Y'all talk to me for a second, man. Listen, I'm gonna try to communicate something that I usually don't really like doing. I don't really like the first-time head coach thing. I figure Miami is a place where you can hire experience. I think experience turns into leadership. Leadership turns into development of young men. But let's talk about Ed Reed. Ed Reed has been hanging around the program a lot more here recently. And it's feeling that he may have another role with the program, or maybe even a bigger role with the program. But I got a question for y'all. Could Ed Reed be the defensive coordinator at the University of Miami? And come on, we're gonna get into this now. Let's get into this a little bit. don't think he's ever been a position coach in college football. He was like Manny's ambassador or the team ambassador or something last year. The Miami Hurricane fan base love him through and through. And you got Sean Taylor, Ed Reed. I think Ray Lewis is in there somewhere doing that. But could Ed Reed, if Mario named Ed Reed the defensive coordinator, let me know in the comment section below. Will you be pissed? Will you be happy? Would you not know what to think? Would you, hey, we finna kill it in recruiting? The question is, what is a defensive coordinator? What is his job? And how does Ed Reed experiences fit in to what a defensive coordinator does? We all know he's a film junkie. He was the coach on the field. He put people in place. When it came to football, it runs through his veins. But could Ed Reed plug in and go mano-mano versus the OC for Clemson or the OC for Carolina? Looking at things on a bigger spectrum, right? Now you're coordinating or now you're game planning versus the mind and not versus the individual, the player. And looking at the player's tendencies, you're looking at a team tendencies. I would have to think he can. You know what I'm saying? I would have to think he can. He's capable. But then there's other things that's being a DC, a OC, a head coach that come into play when it comes to college football that always just on the field things. Will those things pull him away from the game a little bit or pull his focus away? Dealing with different personalities. Maybe this coach wants to play man-to-man and then you start bumping heads with the DB coach. And now you have to deal with that from an authoritative standpoint. Because when you're telling your homeboy, hey man, get over, man, I think they finna run the tight end drag. It's different. When you become the authority, people look at you different. So let's dive into this, because I know y'all always get the emotional conversation, the emotional answer of Ed Reed for DC, Ed Reed for DC, it feels good. But let me know in the comment section below, dog. Let's talk about this. Ed Reed, could he go from no position coach straight to DC? Or is there some ladder he has to climb? I'm not all about ladders, though. You know me, I'm not all about ladders. We've always thought to be successful in life, you had to go to college, climb the ladder, and whoever went to the best college, those are successful people. But we realized that what was missing was just the information. And if you're willing to seek information, you could be successful. Life experiences, information, and the willingness to get up and do, and you could be successful. Could Mario hire Ed Reed as a DC? Hypothetically. How would you feel about that? What do you think? Let me know in the comment section below. I traveled up 95, up around Sunrise area somewhere to go see the Najee Kelly billboard. To some, it may seem simple, I don't know, gimmicky. I guess it's a better way to spend the turnover chain money. I don't know. But it sends a message, dog. We wasn't thinking about billboards. Billboards are a thing when it comes to marketing. There's so many ways you can market now. So billboards don't really cross your mind. But it sends a message to a lot of people, the high schools. Oh, that's Wesley from my high school. The parents. That's my son on the billboard ran past 95 when he was just skipping school 3 years ago. Getting in trouble, beating his behind, stealing donuts out of the refrigerator. A sense of pride. And it makes other parents want to see their son locally on the billboard. The city. This University of Miami showing the city, hey listen, we're trying to make that bridge between the community and the college, which is sometimes seems like there's a gap. Sends a message to every college coach that come in Fort Lauderdale Airport, get on 95, drive south. You're gonna have to see one or two of them. And I'm sure there's more to come. It's a message that, man, we're here. We're no longer invisible. Our presence is here. We're letting our people know we're here. And when you get back on that plane and head back to wherever you're heading to, we're here working with our people, our city, get this thing popping. I think it's a big deal, bro. I mean, I think it's a huge deal. I think it's something simple that you could utilize. An out-of-state school wouldn't do for these kids that they claim they want so bad. More recruiting. Yesterday, Pride 112, they run in the shack down here as these visits are going on at the University of Miami. And that's something. I think Shaq, Rohan Marley was somewhere, but that's something that can only happen in a city like Miami. You're not gonna see Shaq running around Athens at Marlene's Diner. That stuff can only happen in the big city, the crib. If I saw Shaq, I wouldn't ask for an autograph. But yeah, I don't think I ever seen Shaq in person. It's a big deal. You know what I'm saying? It's a big deal. Miami, recruiting, the University of Miami, the Mario, who's ever spearheading some of these ideas, the aggressiveness, I like where it's going. When it comes to Shamar Stewart, every time these country boys throw a blow, Miami counter with 2 back. I think Miami set with the Shamar Stewart camp twice this week. 3-star, 4-star, 5 stars. I like how Miami are saying, hey man, these are our kids, and we're gonna go after them like they are our kids. Y'all gonna have to take them, not just come get them. Make sure y'all like, share, man, comment.
It's gonna take 3 motherfucking things, and that's what? This nigga, shit.